Hey, yo, I can't even see him anymore, you know. Yeah, he's a dickhead anyway. Jesus Christ, yo, this is a bit boring, isn't it? You're not gonna believe this. I've just seen a Don flying through the air whilst I was... What the hell is going on with my dashboard, bro? Yo guys, it is your boy Neymar'S here, and you are watching FTW. This, of course, the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. Now, apologies for no FTW last week. I know, I didn't actually say it, I forgot. Your boy was attempting not to break any bones whilst out skiing. But FTW does return this week to mark 6 years of the series, which is absolutely, like, genuinely, guys, this is insane. When I first changed content away from FIFA stuff to more real-life content, I didn't expect it to really last this long or to get the support that it did. So honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I massively appreciate you guys even just still tuning into the series. Massive love to all of you. As I said, hopefully let's get to 10 years. Without further ado though, what's going on in the world this week? Well, in the US, a 4-year-old child called the police on his mum for eating his ice cream. You little snitch. Yeah, unbelievably, the police actually turned up to this home and locked her up for 6 to 8 years. No, I'm joking. But to be fair, honestly, Luke Shaw would have done the same. Let's be real. That kid was straight to police headquarters when he realized his cornetto was missing.
Here to report the crime. Yep. An international war crime.
If I'm that police officer, I'm throwing him in jail for wasting police time. Now then, look, lots of things that have happened recently. Let's address the elephant in the bomber claw. I hadn't even finished the sentence. Oh, how pontificatedly spellbinding. Can someone please get this elephant out of the room? Liverpool were dumped out of the Champions League at the round of 16 stage by a youthful PSG on penalties. But to start this story, we have to cover lost FTW files. We've got to go back to the first leg, to a time where I was on top of a mountain, not yet riddled by depression, and ready to let Alisson have my children. A truly awful Liverpool were opened up time and time again in the first leg. It was like Bonnie Blue, but with more dignity and less sexually transmitted. I can't imagine how a conversation on tactics went between Arne Slot and Alisson before this one. Yep, so basically, lad, we're not going to do anything. You're going to save us over and over again. Yeah, no, I don't know about that. Ryan Gravenberch was put on skates by Vitinha, and Arne Slot had had enough of Andrew Robertson and Diogo Jota by full time.
My name's FTR Nemo.
And I'm Stacks.
And we are...
stupid ass niggas. Get them the fuck out of here.
It wasn't much better for main man Mo Salah, who was getting clamped every 30 seconds by Nuno Mendes, dropping probably one of his worst performances as a Liverpool player. But Ali still stood strong. Yet Harvey Elliott would provide an ultimate sucker punch in the 86th minute, just 1 minute after coming on. Arne Slot genuinely clicked suggested subs on Ultimate Team, and he got the victory. The stats in this one were atrocious. Genuinely 27 attempts at goal from PSG, but just 2 for Liverpool, in a circumstance that should have been investigated by the FBI, NASA, and Neighbourhood Watch. The expected goals chart even worse, and Luis Enrique had harsh words for his squad at full time.
We're talking about stats and XG this, XG that, expected goals. I expect them every fucking week.
PSG were complaining about referees, only for Virgil van Dijk to reply,
Red card or penalty.
Come on, bro. It's not league on, bro. It's not league on there, boys.
a brave thing to say when we performed like we were in League 2. Fast forward though to the present day, and the Anfield faithful were ready for it. There were flares all over the place, atmosphere absolutely wild for yet another dramatic Anfield Champions League night. Mo Salah would have 2 big chances early, only for Ousmane Dembele to give PSG the lead on the night, level on aggregate. Chances would go begging for either side, Kavicha Kvaratskhelia coming close, Jarell Kwanzaa even closer, until penalties was all that could separate the two sides. A shootout that would promise to... Oh, fucking hell, is that Darwin Núñez stepping up? The Uruguayan had a great penalty record for Benfica, but I knew exactly what was going to happen as soon as I saw him step up to take this one. He aura farmed it straight at Gianluigi Donnarumma. He must have been distracted during the tactical meeting before the shootout, explaining his sock collection. Ousmane Dembele did the run-up of a lefty, then took the penalty with his right foot. He celebrated in front of Liverpool's players when PSG took the lead. Mo Salah tried not to kill himself, and Curtis Jones did call out penalties a little bit too loudly, meaning it was over for the Reds. Adidas France tweeted merci, au revoir, a play on words of thank you in French and our location. Whoever came up with that one needs a spell in the booth. Meanwhile, Arne Slot was officially welcomed to the Luis Enrique Penitentiary. Are we the farmers, lads? Virgil van Dijk might need a new job. And to be fair, he might well have found it. Doing a wee bonbon with PSG's owners down in the tunnel, talking to them, suggesting that PSG's the best team he's played in his time at Liverpool. We've lost in the knockout stages to them, and they're going to tap up our centre-back for next season on a free transfer. Curtis Jones will be heading to Paris on a one-way ticket, getting revenge in the capital, knowing his life has been truly ruined. Mo Salah's highlights across the two legs were genuinely disastrous, I'm not gonna lie. PSG even tweeting that Nuno Mendes had him in his pocket. Meanwhile, Achraf Hakimi was causing further pain, planting a PSG flag in the centre circle at Anfield. Jamie Carragher was left fuming in the home end, as we swiftly realised that winning the Champions League group stage has absolutely no benefits whatsoever. This PSG team, though, so exciting to watch, I'm not gonna lie. I am bitter, obviously, but Ousmane Dembele's in the form of his life. João Neves is an absolute baller, and I know people like Barkley and Dembele get the headlines, but generally, Desiree Doué, I watched him a little bit when he played for Rennes. I want him at my football club. I won't ever get him, but that doesn't change the fact. Thankfully for us, it looks like the Premier League should be all wrapped up though, as we went 15 points clear, beating Southampton. It only took 2 penalties to beat a generational Saints side. Generationally bad, but we don't have to include. We genuinely almost lost to Smallbone here, and that's just when Andrew Robertson looks down in the urinal. Meanwhile, Arsenal slipped up once again with a draw to part-time Key Stage 2 students Manchester United. The chance of Arsenal winning the Premier League this season is now lower than NASA's calculations of an asteroid hit in a couple of years. There's more chance of the end of humanity than Arsenal winning the league this season, and they're already resigned to going again next campaign.
Watching Arsenal is watching Netflix, you know. You always wait for the next season.
Now in this game, when a Bruno Fernandes free kick gave United the lead here, though David Raya's positioning must be questioned. He invited Bruno Fernandes for a picnic on the left-hand side of his goal here, and the reverse angle is even worse. He might as well have rested his arm on the corner flag, genuinely. I don't know what the hell he was doing, apart from maybe watching XQC highlights the night before. Now, seemingly, the referee did Arsenal dirty here by pushing their wall an extra yard back, making it 11 yards behind the taker in total. Fucking hell, someone call the police. Now, to be fair, this is rough, because a yard can make all the difference in terms of dipping it over the wall, but Sky absolutely knew what they were doing, but I've never seen this graphic before. Declan Rice would equalise late on and received criticism for celebrating instead of running straight to the centre circle. Their fans fuming watching this on TV.
We're not doing the dance. What are we doing?
Mikel Arteta at full time was asked about the club's title chances, to which he completely dodged the question.
Mikel, one more. I have to ask you about the title race, because it's 15 points now. Is it too much?
Yeah, no, he didn't want to talk about that at all. Now, Mikel, obviously the league... Mikel, please, there's only one more question. He actually charged out of there so quickly after the over his dead body comment, seeing the Grim Reaper standing in the corner. Fuck's sake, all I was going to say was I think he should deploy Havertz as a false nine. It was a much better midweek though for the Gunners in the Champions League. They spanked PSV 7-1 away in the first leg in the Netherlands. A truly ridiculous result. Genuinely, PSV are not a terrible side, so this result was really impressive. Mikel Merino's aura even managed to knock over a PSV defender during one of their goals. I mean, if you're PSV, could you even be arsed travelling to London? Generally speaking, but especially when you're 6 goals down. Imagine the scenes when PSV won the second leg 8-1. This result, though, doesn't yet change history for Arsenal, unfortunately. They've now completed 219 Champions League matches without winning a trophy, second to Dynamo Kiev. Fucking hell, they're even second in this. I'm lashing out, lads, by the way. I can't lie. They've literally just won 7-1 and I'm taking the piss out of them. What the hell is even going on here? PSV Ultras probably weren't expecting to go through, so instead they decided to have a little tour of London, including going to a Wimbledon game against Cheltenham. Their Ultras giving it large in the away end. And Mikel Arteta knew his side were already through, so he picked a ridiculous team, including 3 left backs. That front three's got more chance of a cardiac arrest than a goal contribution. Ivan Perisic would score early for PSV, going and grabbing the ball out of the net. Brother, it's over. You don't have to do all of that. Miles Lewis-Skelly was quick to tell him where PSV stood.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Declan Rice scored again, but was insistent not to celebrate this time after criticism that he received from Gary Neville. This is the celebration we'll be getting from Declan when he scores a 98th minute bicycle kick winner from this point onwards. And there was no celebration from Alexander Zinchenko as well, refusing to celebrate against the side that he played for 18 times whilst out on loan.
That's woke nonsense and all that.
The Ukrainian will have been crying as he got a pre-assist for Arsenal's second. And this result sets up Arsenal versus Real Madrid. A very daunting task for Mikel Arteta, who'll be attempting to fix Bukayo Saka's hamstring by any means necessary to face off against Jude Bellingham and co. He'll be preparing to play 8 centre-backs and 4 left-backs versus Real in both legs. legs. And Real reached that quarterfinal in truly dramatic circumstances, once again beating a cursed Atletico Madrid. Now, they were 2-1 up after the first leg, but that was very quickly cancelled out by Conor Gallagher scoring in 27 seconds for Atletico Madrid, the quickest an Englishman's ever scored in the competition. The game stayed like this for a while before some sensational dribbling from Kylian Mbappe earning Real a penalty, as Atletico Madrid brought out the Chuckle brothers at centre-back. Vinny had the chance to put Real through, only to blaze it miles over. He had an absolute stinker for this one, a generational haberdashery honker, but he's not called Salah, so it's blessed. It was miles high and wide. He must have been trying to knock out a fan that was abusing him early on in the game. Here's Vinny! Man City fans would have been delighted seeing this one. And the game, after extra time, went all the way to a mental penalty shootout. Atletico Madrid's Julian Alvarez stepped up to take his penalty, only to slip and see the ball hit the roof of the net. Atleti fans thought their boy had scored, only for it to be disallowed by VAR because the ball had technically been struck twice, being kicked onto his slipping standing foot. This is unknown levels of juju, by the way, from Real. Carlo Ancelotti's eyebrow must have been involved, and Florentino Perez must have been in the VAR room. Now, I saw people talking about this being a new rule. It is not, by the way. This has happened many a time, including with Alexander Mitrovic in the Premier League and also Riyad Mahrez in the Prem when he was still playing for Leicester. It's seen as double contact and a free kick is given to the opposition when it happens in normal time. Either way, Arsenal, the fact this even happened in a shootout, this is the black magic you're going to be up against. Diego Simeone must be fed up at these at this point. He's going to be telling ghost stories to his grandkids. And he was fuming at full time, asking journalists to raise their hands if they'd seen Julian Alvarez strike the ball twice. Dani Ceballos took to Twitter to raise his. It's a shithousery award for the Spaniard. Now, as you can imagine, there was a lot of uproar from Atleti fans over this decision. Thibaut Courtois, though, said he was tired of their victimhood. Brother, you've got a whole show on TV to complain about refereeing decisions. You, as a football club, said La Liga was corrupt like 9 days ago. The decisive penalty miss, though, came from Marcos Llorente, a former Real man who took payment from his former side at full time. Jan Oblak, meanwhile, was an absolute tragedy for the final Real penalty, looking more like a Wembley Make-A-Wish campaign rather than Atleti's goalkeeper. And it was Antonio Rudiger who scored that crucial penalty to take Real through. He brought out his traditional run and everybody joined in, including Fede Valverde. But tensions were raised between fans, seeing water bottles thrown at Real's players, Jude Bellingham taking the opportunity to try and head one in at the back stick. Let's be honest, this result was for the best, because if Arsenal had ended up playing Atletico Madrid, we'd still be at 0-0 in May. El Clasico rivals Barcelona are also through to the quarterfinals with a comfortable win over Benfica. It hadn't been all easy in the first leg after a Pau Cubarsí red card, but Wojciech Szczesny brought out a sensational goalkeeping performance and a smokescreen with an entire pack of Marlboro Reds. Lamine Yamal was absolutely unbelievable again across this tie. He became the youngest player to score and assist in one Champions League game. He was held by Messi as a child, and honestly, I think that changed his DNA. And that changing of the DNA is going to be passed into the next generation, and whoever this child is that he's holding, that's their future number 9, mate. This kid's destiny is now to score 47 goals a season by the age of 16. La Masia coaches will be training him tomorrow.
Boski!
Rafinha did pretty much everything there was to do during the course of this tie. Goals, assists, marketing, dinner runs, stadium management, and now has 45 goal contributions for the season. So impressive from him. Talk about ease, though. Bayern Munich pushed aside Bayer Leverkusen, smacking them 5-0 on aggregate in the round of 16. Michael Olise was heavily confident ahead of a Harry Kane penalty in the first leg, but a 3-0 victory, I'm sure, won't have had Bayern fans sleeping any easier if Patrick Schick was to score in the 88th minute of the second leg. Now, there was no threat of a comeback here, I'm not gonna lie, and Florian Wirtz's ankle also got flat-packed as well, which will further hinder them in the Bundesliga. Xabi Alonso will be trying to juju his lower leg back together in the medical department tomorrow. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the Champions League, and shout out to Aston Villa for also making it into the quarterfinals, defeating Belgian side Club Brugge. Asensio and Villa were class again here, although things were made a lot easier for them in the second leg with a red card for Brugge in the 17th minute. To even get an appearance fee for that. Now, back in the Premier League, and Nottingham Forest beat Manchester City 1-0 for Forest to keep their European hopes alive. Callum Hudson-Odoi grabbed the decisive goal here. Now, this was it's a ridiculous result, isn't it? Nuno Espirito Santo was vibing in the changing rooms afterwards. They even had anti-doping controllers getting in on the mix with the music playing. It was a sight to behold. Ola Aina really leading the vibes. He was asked on Snapchat whether he was ready to deal with Jeremy Doku before the game, only to reply saying that he's not 30. Yeah, it's a shithousery award for the Nigerian wingback. Doku proving once again he can't play well if he's not playing a 47-year-old. Now look, listen lads, I don't mean to snitch, okay, but Sabrina Carpenter's got a lot of explaining to do here in regards to Manchester City. Why is she doing the Erling Haaland on stage? Miles Lewis Skelly's going to be fuming, realising she's allowed to do it, but he's not. Her fantasy football score's going to be on an absolute madness. And meanwhile, let's be honest, Erling Haaland's never had an espresso in his life. And honestly, it could get her in trouble in the music industry. Dua Lipa Ultras will be having a life when she brings out this celebration season and doesn't end up winning an award. Now, there's not much winning going on at Manchester United at the moment, and Gary Neville took the opportunity to host an interview with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, owner of Ineos and new part owner of Manchester United Football Club, who of course has been getting into some controversy recently in his running of the club and general cuts to staff members. In this interview, Jim actually explained that they had a body language expert on about 150k a year, and so he had to go. The body language department will have been realising their mistakes pretty quickly.
Should we have spent so heavily in the past? Probably not, but we lived the dream.
Gary Neville, though, was pretty and quite rightfully bamboozled at a decision that saw him cut money that goes to former pros who basically earned a lot less money when football wasn't quite as developed in the 70s, suggesting that money raised elsewhere through events could be given to them instead. Hey, yo, that's actually a pretty decent idea, you know. And in the aftermath of all of this, Manchester United announced their plans to build a new 100,000 capacity stadium in Manchester. Well, obviously, it's not going to be in Birmingham, is it? They unveiled a video of their vision, how the new development of the area is going to look, and of course, the stadium inside and out. The most outrageous thing here, them putting themselves 3-0 up in an actual football match. It will see Old Trafford demolished. Will this be the new Trafford, or will it just be Trafford? Will their names cancel out? Either way, the fact that it looks like a circus is pretty fitting, if we're going to be honest. Here's a fun bet. What's going to happen first? Luke Shaw returning to football, or this stadium getting built? Manchester mice in the local area will be gassed knowing that they've got a new home built for them. They've put 7 reptilian quadrillion pounds into a new stadium, but is Linda getting the sack in accounts? Yeah, say less. This guy's going to charge the builders. But elsewhere in a stadium just about as big, and the Sidemen Charity Match was happening on Saturday. It saw them sell out Wembley, which is absolutely mental for a YouTube event, and it saw Simon FC face off against the side of YouTube All-Stars as per usual. They were pulling numbers on streams until 400,000 people left when KSI started rapping.
Did 400,000 people leave? What the fuck?
Crazy scenes as always in this one. The game ended 9-9, went to a penalty shootout. Joe Weller and Logan Paul brought out a WWE celebration. Zerka finally scored in a Sidemen Charity Match. Speed actually brought out a footballing masterclass. It was genuinely quite impressive and will definitely be getting himself a new Ultimate Team card. Max Fosh decided to shred a yellow card, but some things never change, and that's the returns you'd get on XQC actually using his wrist to stop any sort of object. At the other end of the pitch though, and Skechers highlights were absolutely scintillating. He even made a save, a vital save, a crucial one in the penalty shootout from Simon.
I can't believe it's not butter!
If I'm Manchester United, I'm trying to sign this geezer.
Sign the contract, big boy!
Speed scored the winning penalty. Honestly, just put XQC down at this point. They raised 4.7 million for charity, saw 2 million people watching live, and saw 1 trip for KSI on stage. JJ, I'm sorry, man. But I'm sure that's all the big news out of the way.
He's done it again!
Neymar'S injured again. Somebody get the thumbnail ready. In a decision motivated by me making an extra £23 this week, Neymar got injured again ahead of the 11th of March, aka his sister's birthday. His actual record on the 11th of March is crazy. I'll leave it on the screen, but the guy has missed, I don't know, something like 70% of games or like periods around this time every single year. This man is absolutely shameless. He could be seen in training pretending that he's rolled his ankle. PSG fans understand this. They've seen this script before. We might as well start calling it paternity leave at this point. No, sorry, that's actually so grim. I'm so sorry. If this man had an 11th of March clause in his contract, he would be bankrupt. Now, this is a bit of an old story, but in the FA Cup, obviously Jean-Philippe Mateta was quite literally murdered by Millwall's goalkeeper coming out to clear a ball and catching him on his face, in his ear, leading to a red card, a 6-match suspension, and about 28 stitches in Mateta's head. Boom, 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 boom. He's off to ICU. 3-game ban originally, by the way. It should be 3 years, to be honest, lads. Just to clarify as well, Michael Oliver didn't give anything at the time. I'm telling you, this guy being the best referee in the country is a concern. He's useless at his job. And in further news for Mateta, there's rumours and talk that he might well be wanted by Manchester United to replace their striking woes of Rasmus Højlund. Come on, man. The guy's already had it bad enough with the injury. He doesn't need this. Elsewhere in the FA Cup, and it was the coldest penalty of all time at Bournemouth as Django Ouattara brought out a 1-step pen. There's wholesome stuff at West Ham where Mikel Antonio returned to London Stadium. Look, listen, I'm sure he's not back to playing anytime soon, but great to see him walking immobile. The guy literally almost passed away and has made a public appearance back before Luke Shaw. And at Brighton, we saw this incredible image captured. This is aura personified. A seagull in front of a seagull badge. To be fair, not quite as rare as seeing a devil in front of a devil badge. Now in Germany, and Joao Palhinha was sent off in the Bundesliga for Bayern Munich, but honestly, the more concerning thing is how you say his full name. If I'm the referee, I'm not writing all that shit down. You must be out your mind. line. Meanwhile, elsewhere for Bayern, and Leroy Sané was getting very, very sassy with a fourth official down on the touchline. In Spain, Marc-Andre ter Stegen has been caught out. He allegedly will be splitting with his partner after cheating on her with his personal trainer. His backline don't trust him, and now neither does his wife. The worst part out of all of this is the personal trainer weren't even doing a good job if we look at his performance. At Real Madrid, and Endrick was posting a picture of himself and his partner, only to accidentally tag Gabriel Martinelli, who appreciated it, but he kind of realized that he's not the person in the picture. Look, we all know Endrick was born in 1953, bro. He doesn't understand social media yet. Yeah, so I actually went to tag Gabriel Apostolis, who I went to school with back in the Greek days. Meanwhile, Conor Gallagher has been a smash hit realistically for Atletico Madrid. He's really found his feet in La Liga, and Diego Simeone definitely likes his tenacity, as he was seen celebrating down on the touchline after Conor went in with 2 crunching challenges. In Italy, some crunching times for Juventus, who were absolutely battered by Atalanta 4-0 to basically end Juve's title chances. The old lady has aged even further. To be honest, it would have been the most Serie A thing ever if a team that only draws games won the entire league. Meanwhile, Sassuolo, they're done with all that football business. They don't give a fuck. They're tuning into the WWE and seeing a fan wearing their kit on live TV. In France, Kavicha Kvaratskhelia brought out the best touch of all time in Ligue 1. He's clearly got himself confused with the leagues. This isn't the Bundesliga, bro. And Lyon's manager, Paulo Fonseca, is facing a lengthy 9-game ban after getting up in the face of a referee during a decision that saw him sent off to the stands. Bro's out for the season as a manager. Do you understand how crazy that is? Now though, on to your goals of the week. We've got some unbelievable strikes for you. First of all, we head over to Minnesota United and their academy player Griffin Gill, whose acrobatic effort is fully deserving of getting in this week. We're taking it back to traditional shit pingers though next, and up in Scotland, where this attacker for St Johnstone has let one rip right into the top corner. A proper old school banger. Even more impressive though at Sporting Lisbon's academy. This one not only a long range effort, but flicking the ball over his head and then volleying it on his left foot. Quite rightfully, his teammates can't quite believe it. But if you can't quite believe that goal, you'll be struggling to put into words what you're about to see coming from Mexico. In their women's league, we've got a goal that I've genuinely never seen the likes of before. A ball is swung into the area before what I can only describe as a reverse scorpion kick sees the ball flicked into the top corner, looping over the keeper. If this doesn't win the Pushkas, I'm putting in a formal complaint to everybody. Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty. And that concludes The Beautiful Game. Over in Saudi Arabia, and I'm sure Cristiano Ronaldo often gets followed by super fans, but they're not often fans that are his official lookalikes. Well, that's what happened this week, as one actual lookalike of the Portuguese legend turned up for a game at Al Nassr, only for Ronaldo to disregard him completely. No, you don't look like me. Very ugly. Look, listen, you're calling your own lookalike ugly. Brother, I've got some bad news for you in that case. This guy's going back to his bedroom absolutely devastated. I mean, he said it as a joke pretty clearly, but honestly, this is what he sees when he looks at that lookalike in the stands.
Yeah. Hey! Oh my God!
Not just like me, bro. I appreciate it.
In Turkey, Fenerbahce were knocked out of the Europa League by Rangers, and after being given one question a little bit too long, Jose Mourinho couldn't help but nod off in a press conference after. There were more pressing scenes in Belgium. A local derby between Club Brugge and Cercle Brugge, or Club Brugge victorious, and then planting the colours of their flag in the centre circle of Cercle Brugge's stadium. This led to tensions between players, a little bit of a brawl breaking out, and overall just absolute chaos and pandemonium. You only get in derby games. Over in the Portuguese second division, and the game's back to get underway, but the wind has other ideas, blowing a sponsor board over and into officials, leaving one of them seemingly a little bit concussed. I think thankfully everybody's okay, but scary stuff there. In Japan, and we've got a player for Hiroshima FC blazing a ball out of the stadium and into a nearby swimming pool. That must have been confusing for someone trying to perform the backstroke. Up in Scotland, and Clyde FC's Twitter account seemed to share content from an OnlyFans model called Sophie Rain, leaving everybody in the local area confused. They put out a statement. I'm guessing they They don't want the content after all. Meanwhile, in the Copa Libertadores and for Ecuadorian side Barcelona SC, this manager is the best dressed on the sidelines by a mile. This is who I want to grow up to become, honestly. What a man. Now, though, time for the moment you've all been waiting for, because over in Romania, and this week we have got a model invention, okay? Sometimes the weather gets in your way, you know, when you're planning a football match, when you got games to get through. Mother Nature cannot be helped. And a massive amount of snow arrived in Romanian football recently. One team's recommendation to get rid of snow on the pitch: attach a bench to a lawnmower and drag that snow out of there. It's unique, I'm not gonna lie, and honestly, I love it. Yep, fair play to Romania, genuinely. Closer to home and at Watford, shout out to Tom Cleverley, who's managed to last longer than a year as Watford manager, which genuinely, knowing their managerial history, is a miracle that matches Easter itself, so props to him. Joao Pedro scored for Hull early on in a championship game for them recently. 12 minutes in, they managed to get himself sent off for a lunging, diving 2-foot tackle just seconds later. And talking about quick-fire red cards, at Shrewsbury Town, we've got one here after 15 seconds. Now, over in the UAE, and Sharjah FC and Shabab Al Ahly are going to get pretty fed up of each other pretty soon. Sharjah hosts Shabab Al Ahly next up, and in fact, that game is going to happen 4 more times this month alone. Those two teams, based on cup draws and the fact they've got to play each other twice in the league, are exclusively playing each other for all of their 5 games this month. They don't play a single other team in March, they just play each other 5 times. In Sweden, a touch of class here from Tobias Heinz, who scores an Olympico directly from a corner. That goal is worthy of the highest of heights, but at the lowest of lows in Austria and at Voitseburg, the plinth for their match ball that the referee's gonna take it off at the start of their game when they walk out the tunnel is a bin. A Cowdenbeath up in Scotland, they put out a statement about vandalism at their ground this week. Turns out it was a couple of drunk people that had stolen some kind of mini tractor and driven it onto the turf. At Ryukyu FC in Japan, and they've announced a new sponsor for the season. It's a poo museum. Is that a shithousery award? It's like a house dedicated to shit, so I guess it must be. Up in Norway and at Valerenga, look, I know they didn't get the result that they wanted, but there's no need for name calling. Meanwhile, in Brazil and at Grêmio, we've got some unorthodox defending going on. A last-ditch challenge coming out of nowhere. Now, though, it's time for Still 0-0. You guys know the score by now. This is a segment of the show where I bring to you the best of Sunday League and amateur football. And I'm going to cut straight to the chase, okay? When it comes to Sunday League, a lot of the time it's defined by its finishing. And that is the case here. As a ball has been launched long, a lovely over-the-top through ball, the striker gets there just before the goalkeeper, and he's got the goal at his mercy. And he's not going to get much mercy from his teammates after that, shocker. On to the weird stuff, though, now. First of all, we head over to Moldova and Floresti. They've headed into the second phase of their league system. I believe the league splits over there. You have like a championship and relegation split. But the second phase for them is very different to the first, because they started the first game of the second phase by losing 19-0. Yeah, they've been very competitive all season up to this point, or certainly not losing by this level. But in between the first and second phase, their coach, technical director, and all of their players left. I assume due to financial restrictions, unpaid wages maybe, but either way, all that's left is their youth players, and they got absolutely demolished. There's similar teams, although for different reasons, going on in Poland. Kotwica play in the 3rd tier of Polish football. Now, I don't know the full story as to why they're running out of players, but I do think it is actually due to misfortune rather than a lack of pay or players protesting. I think it's mostly down to injury. They were playing a lot of players out of position, and for the second half of their most recent game in the 3rd tier of Polish football, they even had to play their reserve goalkeeper outfield. But finally, we head to Norway and a side called HamKam. First of all, name's absolutely sensational. I don't know who came up with that, but top work. They recently experimented with a manager not of this world. Yeah, in a sort of sponsorship publicity stunt, they announced they'd be hiring an AI manager for a game. They'd be giving their usual coach a day off, and they'd be letting AI do the job. Well, they took the lead in this game, interestingly enough. They went 1-0 up, but that's when things started to unravel a little bit. Upon realizing that they were winning the game, their AI clearly got a little bit complacent, deciding upon their goalkeeper taking their throw-ins and changing to a 109 formation. 9 attackers didn't go too well, and in the end, they got absolutely pumped. They've announced a friendly with Crystal Palace this week, and hopefully they'll be letting their normal manager do the job. That, though, is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course, subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it has been an absolute pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.